things like growing the economy, creating jobs. By working together in the service of all Canadians, the government can make real change happen. We'll do so in the following ways. The government will, as an immediate priority, deliver a tax cut for the middle class. This is the fair thing to do and the smart thing for Canada's economy. The government has also committed to provide more direct help to those who need it by giving less to those who do not. Recognizing public investment is needed to create and support economic growth. The new employment insurance system will be strengthened to create more opportunities for young Canadians, especially those from low and middle income families. The government will work with the provinces and territories to make post-secondary education more affordable. The government will work with all provinces to develop a new health care accord. Open and transparent government. The trust Canadians have. Government will undertake consultations on electoral reform. This will be the last federal election under first past the post. Reform the Senate by creating a new nonpartisan merit-based process, Senate appointments. The government will promote more open debate and free votes. Yes! Will not use government ads for partisan purposes. It will not interfere with the work of parliamentary officers. It will not resort to devices like prorogation. The Canadian government will provide Canadians. We cannot have one without the other. Clean environment and a strong economy go hand in hand. Protecting our environment. Last week, First Ministers met. Working together, the government will continue to provide leadership in Canada as Canada works towards putting a price on carbon to encourage economic growth. Canada will make strategic investments in clean technology, provide more support for companies seeking to export those technologies, and lead by example in their use. Government will introduce a new environmental assessment process. Public input will be sought and considered. Decisions will be informed by scientific evidence. Indigenous peoples will be more fully engaged in reviewing major resource development. Diversity is Canada's strength. Fourth, the government's agenda. Canadians elected a government to bring us together, not one to set us against one another. Canada is strong because of our differences, not in spite of them. As a country, we are strengthened in many ways by our shared experiences, by the diversity that inspires both Canada and the world, and the way we trust each other. Because it is both the right thing to do and a certain path to economic growth, the government will undertake to renew nation to nation. The relationship between Canada and Indigenous peoples, one based on recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, and partnership. Among other measures, the government will work cooperatively to implement the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada and will launch an inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And they will work with the First Nations so that every First Nations child receives a quality education. The government will make it easier for immigrants to build successful lives in Canada, reunite their families, and contribute to the economic success of all Canadians. In response to a pressing international need underscored by Canadians' desire to help, the government will welcome 25,000 new Canadians from Syria to arrive in Canada by the end of February 2016. I like how it's phrased. Instead of 25,000 refugees, 25,000 new Canadians. I like how that's phrased. In gratitude for the service of Canadian veterans, the government will do more to support them and their families. The government will support CBC Radio Canada, encourage and promote the use of Canada's official languages, and invest in Canada's cultural and creative industries. Oh. Security and opportunity. Fifth, the government is committed to providing greater security and opportunity for Canadians. The government will strengthen its relationship with allies, especially our closest friend and partner, the United States. Well, that's good. We all know Harper fucked that up. Internationally, the government will focus on its development assistance on helping the world's poorest and most vulnerable. Okay, I'm interested in that. I want to know how that's going to happen. To contribute to greater peace throughout the world, the government will renew Canada's commitment to the United Nations peacekeeping operations. Peacekeeping! I haven't heard that in so long. The government will want to keep Canadians safe. The government and ready to respond when needed, the government will launch an open and transparent process to review existing defense capabilities and will invest in building a leaner, more agile, and better equipped military. Okay. I'm not sure about that, but sounds like it'll be smaller, but to keep Canadians safe and be ready to respond when needed, the government will launch an open and transparent process to review existing defense capabilities and will invest in building a leaner, more agile, better equipped military. So it sounds like it's going to be smaller, but better equipped. New equipment that's not like 50 years old and busted. And canceling those, yeah.
Did you hear about, Windsor's getting, like, aerial drones to cops now?
No, but I heard they wanted rifles instead of shotguns.
To be honest, they should have it, man. They're fucking up. Cities, man. The U.S. Britain's fucking border guards should be given.
Yeah, the border guards, not the police. The police in Windsor. You know what? I'll talk about this later. I'm still reading this. Okay. Beneficial trade agreements. I hope that means they get rid of the TPP. Government will introduce legislation that will provide greater support for the victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, that will get handguns and assault weapons off our street, and that will legalize, regulate, and restrict access to marijuana. Conclusion. Not forged in isolation. Rather, it's the result of conversations with Canadians who told the government what they need to be successful. Canadians are confident people. We know who we are and what kind of country we want to live in. As you consider the important work that lies ahead, remember that Canadians have placed their trust in you. It's now your sacred responsibility to help build that better world. By focusing on growing our middle class, on delivering open and transparent government, on ensuring a clean environment and strong economy, on building a stronger Canada, on providing greater security and opportunity, the government will make real change happen. It will prove that better is not only possible, it is the inevitable result when Canadians work together. Members of the House of Commons, you will be asked to appropriate the funds required to carry out the services and expenditures of Parliament. Honorable members of the Senate and members of the House of Commons, may divine providence guide you in your deliberations and make you faithful custodians of the trust bestowed upon you. Okay. I'm wondering about C-51, C-24. Those weren't mentioned. Those are something that needs to be fixed.